Well, good day. It's January 26th, a blast from the past. And I remember protesting and activism and educating ideas, solutions. I can go back in 20 years, 30 years of my life. And I always stuck with a solution. I saw everybody protesting, and I seen how protesting was, people came there for one reason: the problems of the system, the government, whatever affected them. They went there for that reason. When they got there, the real message of a solution was covered up with what we'll call it the George. I'll call it the George. Anything with George to direct you to a different direction, so the solution was never talked about. And they're still using that same plan every day. People aren't focused. They don't want a solution. They want to talk about problems and issues. So controlled opposition during this event was we were talking about the Bank of Canada, the Constitution, and then we call them George. The George Soros groups walked in and started dominating the speaking. And they talked about useless things, useless propaganda that kept people going in circles and circles, so nothing gets resolved. And that's been going on till today. But hopefully, with more education, we'll start talking solution, then stop being controlled by controlled opposition. Here's some skits, and remember, if we keep repeating history, we're never going to get to the problem. The problem is the system, and the system has to be changed. How do we change it? Well, simple facts. We, the people, have to do it. How many do we need? All we need is critical thinkers and honorable people to get this done. So here's a blast in the past. Enjoy. Thank you very much.
Okay. And Dallas, are you one of the organizers of the Occupy Victoria movement?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And how many people were involved in organizing this rally here?
Well,
at the
it started out with just one or two people, and we followed the Wall Street thing going on. Set a Facebook account up, and that was it. We started rocking and rolling from there and getting people more involved. Went to a few meetings. No money, no budget. We came down here and set up and just told everybody to come down. We allowed the mic to be open for everybody to speak. They all spoke, and the community's coming together. This will create change. As long as we get the message out there that the banking fraud to this country has to go. They're enslaving us in debt.
How many people were actually down here for this morning's rally?
Oh, geez. I would think probably 400 to 500.
Okay, and I gather there were another 400 to 500 at Centennial Square.
Yeah, they're coming down here right now.
That's right.
Yes, it's going to be awesome. And most of the people here are heading up there now to get into the big march through town.
Okay, so there's going to be more marches after this throughout the afternoon.
There is. Yes.
Okay. And what do you expect out of this at the end of the day? Is there some kind of main resolution that the organizers and the crowd seem to want?
Well, for one, we all understand that the political parties are all owned by corporations, owned by the bankers. They don't work for the people anymore. There's no accountability. So how do we get accountability? Stop voting for them and start voting for yourself. That means getting together and joining with each individual. We can't vote for their system. Their system's failed, and it will continue to put people into the streets, into poverty. So how do we stop it? We got to vote for ourselves. That's what we're saying.
Okay. Beyond today, do you think that this movement will have any legs? Will it actually force some change within the political party system or within the corporate structure?
This move is going to continue to grow. It has no choice, because more and more people are well aware who these politicians work for. They don't work for us. And how many more people we have to see on the streets before they figure it out? We can stop this overnight. And the private banks in our country, that's it. One bottom line. You want to start tomorrow morning, take all your money out of the top 5 banks and go to your local communities, credit unions, put your money in there. Invest your money in your friends and your family, and that's the secret. These guys are after one thing: to enslave you in debt.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Hopefully they follow.
So after watching that, you can see clearly what happened there. The real people with the real solution, the real speakers that care about the nation, were in there talking about the banking fraud, the corruption, the unlawful de facto thing called Canada, the corporation, British Columbia, talking about constitutions, talking real issues, and then they sent in their brainwashed propaganda. It's no different than today. Back then it was, this is what democracy's about, or we are the 99%, they would scream with that. So everybody was saying the same thing, so they're all just memorized into indoctrination to not get to the solution. It's no different than today. I'm watching the rallies and I'm screaming, not screaming, I'm trying to get everybody understanding that they're being used. And what happens is they beat down the protesters because the protesters have no solution. So when you're walking down the street going, freedom, 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 that means nothing. You don't have any freedom. You got to get to the solution. So when you're walking down the street going, end the lockdown, no new normal, hugs and masks, the line, these are all controlled opposition. They're all because they don't give a solution. You need to have a solution. The solution is the entire system's corrupt from the top to the bottom. You can't beat them in common law. You can't beat them in admiral law. You can't take the court. You can't even go to court. So they distract you with so many things. So a little bit last in the past here. I hope you share it. I hope you look at what I'm saying. I'm hoping you understand you don't want to repeat history. You want a solution to save yourself and your children and your grandchildren. You need to talk solutions, not the George Soros movement of distractions. Thank you.
Well, guess what? I'm proud to be here. I'm actually more proud of all you for being here. And the speakers before me were fantastic. There are so many issues that we face in this country. And the reason we have no voice is because the system's against us. The banking fraud, which was brought up. I mean, this fraud to our country of Canada started in 1974. In one afternoon, they ended the Bank of Canada. They started borrowing money from a private bank. This private bank has killed our economy. Killed us. You know, in the last 4 years, we've paid them $143 billion in interest alone. $143 billion. Democracy, HST, that's a scam. To steal more money from the people. Now, how do we control it? The ideas will be better if all of us decide the choices. So the people have final say on all legislation. It also allows the people to create legislation so that we can control the criminals. And I'm saying straight out, they are criminals. These men are not working for us. They work for their special interest groups at our cost. I have 4 children and 2 granddaughters. And guess what? We're leaving them nothing but debt because these guys are all in bed together with criminals. Let's see what they are. They're criminals. To have common sense deciding the future of our country rather than a few little puppets that decide how to ruin every single person's life in this country. We can change it. All we have to do is put our voice out there, and that's enough. Corruption of the government stopping us. Oh, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. But guess what? This is our land, this is our province, this is our country, and these are all of our people together. We can change the system.
The 1% of the ruling class are robbing every single individual in this country. It all starts from banking fraud, corruption, and the government is unaccountable to the people. So how do we change that? We can protest or we can demand action. In 1974, through corruption and illegal activities, they ended the Bank of Canada. Coast to West Coast, called the Trans-Canada. We had healthcare, dental, medical, pension plans, and our economy thrived. Myself personally, I recommend 2 things. We need to reenact the Bank of Canada to do its proper function, to print our cash at 0% interest on infrastructure, etc., etc. Then we'll remove this false debt to these private banking companies. In the last 4 years, we have paid them $143 billion in interest alone. That's the greatest fraud to our country. It's destroyed our social systems, our healthcare, our dental and medical, and it's created this massive poverty in our country. The second thing is our system of our elected officials is unaccountable to the people. How do we change that?
to control the government while they're elected from day to day, not every 4 years. Every 4 years, it's an illusion. You run down there with a piece of pencil and you scratch your name and you give your freedom away for 4 years for another dictator to tell you what to do for 4 years. Democracy in Canada is an illusion. Another little episode from the past was we were talking about the fake pandemic of the global warming. We were talking about and some of the signs you can see that they're pre-selected. There's no government. The government's already been pre-planned. It's the same globalists. We had the global agenda of the Green Energy Act back then, and trying to educate people, but the scam of the green energy, the globalization, all this stuff was being educated. The Bank of Canada. We were also educated about the Constitution. We were really going hard on the Constitution, about accountability, and you can see as we are progressing in these areas of getting knowledge out there, we're getting pretty good response. And then they sent in the George Soros groups from the UBC or Vancouver, and I call them the anti-First Amendment, anti-free speech. We have them now as Black Lives Matter, and that's what happens. So if you want to make change, like I keep saying, you need to have a solution, and the solution is that we, the people, need to come together. And I don't know how many people we need, but I'll tell you, if great thinkers and great people come together, great things happen. So do me a favor. Really consider what you're sharing on Facebook. Consider what you're sharing on all these videos. Look for certain individuals, men or women, or man and woman, that are actually speaking about real things, like they have a voice, and they're really giving you, they hit your heart with a solution. They're not walking down the street, like I said, doing the George Soros things and the lockdown, that distraction. And make sure if you're going to hold a sign of solution. And that's the truth. Contact me for a solution. Contact me. Let's get together. Let's get organized. You find the right people, and the right people will find the other right people, and eventually the real solution will be known. Okay, enjoy. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ed Anderson, and I'm with the BC Refed Party.
Hi, I'm Dallas Hills, and I'm a proud member of the BC Refed Party too. We've got a song that me and Ed put together, and we're hoping you enjoy it. And the best thing about this song is it's singing the truth. And the BC Refed Party is going to change this old system and put a new system in, and the new system is going to remove the power from the government and put the power to the people where it always should have been. You ready, Ed?
It's going to give the people a voice.
That's right. We've never had a voice.
We never had a voice.
So spread the news about the BC Refed, and let's get us out there so people understand how important this is going to be.
There it goes. When I was growing up, we only had a few rules. Never question authority, obey their golden rules. But it's time for change, let's rearrange what we were taught in school. A system they created only benefits a few. Have you heard about the BC Refed? They're going to give you choice. Give the power to the people so you may have a voice. Come join us in our cause, our future is at stake. Once we are united, our freedom they can't take. They bail out the rich and tax the poor and toss us in a ditch. We keep getting poorer, they keep getting rich. They're selling out our rivers, exporting all our trees, so future generations will end up on their knees. Have you heard about the BC Refed? They're going to give you choice. Give the power to the people so you may have a voice. Come join us in our cause, our future is at stake. Once we are united, our freedom they can't take. They're cunning and so cruel, they threaten those who speak. We know their plan for corporate rule, they removed all our free speech. It's time for us to unite as one and put them in their place. Restore equality to the human race. Have you heard about the BC Refed? They're going to give you choice. Give the power to the people so you may have a voice. Come join us in our cause, our future is at stake. Once we are united, our freedom they can't take. Have you heard about the BC refit? They're gonna give you choice. Give the power to the people so you may have a voice. Come join us in our cause. Our future is at stake. Once we are united, our freedom they can't take. Yeah, once we are united, our freedom they can't take.
Thank you very much for listening, and well, it's a long time ago song, but saying the truth. If you look at the lyrics that we were talking about, this is a call out to all the musicians out there right now. I've seen some great people last week in Lloydminster, and I think it was Lloydminster. They were singing a bunch of songs. You know, it's great. Sing songs. I love songs. Songs bring us together. So sing a song, have someone talk about a solution, or else call out to all these great musicians out there. Sing a song about why the system is corrupt and how to change it. Talk about constitutions. Talk about the fact is that we have no accountability in the system. If you say the right words, enough people hear the right words, then eventually they go, yeah, it's about time. It's time to work together on a plan, and the plan is we the people need to get together. Constitution, accountability, and so call out to all the musicians out there. Please sing a song. Change the world by singing one song. Thank you. Hi, I'm Dallas Hills. I'm a proud Canadian. I'm also a proud BCer, British Columbia. I don't know if many Canadians really realize what's going on in our country, let alone our provinces, let alone our own small little communities. But we need to stop and think and join together on one common ground. We can no longer worry about many issues that are facing us that are small. We need to look at the big problem. What is the big fundamental problem of this country? I'll tell you what it is, what I feel it is, and I imagine you probably know the same. Our problem is this: that governments do not work for us. They work for themselves. And who do they work for? That's the big question. They work for the corporations. And who are these corporations? Well, if you look back into these corporations, they're all owned by a very small percentage of the same people. They own everything. And guess what? They have like a little club, and me and you ain't in it. And guess what? If we don't wake up and start fighting for what we have, well, for what we have now, very little. If you look around what's really happening to our country, they are globally dismantling Canada and every single province and every single community. This is not done by failure of the system on our part. They designed the system to fail for us. Corruption and more corruption and more corruption and more bribes and payoffs. It never ends. So, how do we resolve this? Well, some say a revolution. Okay. So who is our enemy? Well, it's sure ain't the boys that we vote in, because those guys are told exactly what to do. There is an organization above them. It's the corporate leaders, these elite families that control everything in our country. Now, they're happy as long as they've got 99.9% of all the wealth and we have nothing. That's a fair exchange, I guess. But guess what? They aren't happy with that either. They want more. And guess what? They are taking it every day, more and more and more. So what are we going to do about it? We can sit here, form 26 different parties in BC, all fighting for the same thing. All these grassroots parties want the same thing. We've had numerous parties come into power that want to change the system. But guess what? All these parties want to be voted in under this old system. Yeah, the one that's failed us. Yeah. So, doesn't matter if it's the Canadian Alliance Party, great people, had some great ideas. I remember the Reform Party, great ideas. But guess what? Those parties want to be elected under this old system. I keep referring it to the old system because I have this belief that there's enough intelligent, informed Canadians out there that actually care what's really happening to their country and will demand the changing of the system. How about Tilma? That's another one. Probably most Canadians even haven't heard about that one before because, I forgot, we're Canadian citizens. It's on the need-to-know basis, and guess what? We don't need to know what's going on because they don't really care what we think. So, I think it's about time for change. What has Ottawa done for British Columbia? Recently was the HST tax. I bet you that makes you happy. The war since 1991 over in some far-off land. Oh, I forgot, we're fighting for democracy for those people over there. Why aren't we having our soldiers come back here and fight for democracy in our own country? We have no democracy in this country. We have a dictatorship under the old system that you and I do not count. Every 4 years, they give you the illusion of democracy where you get to run down there and scratch your little pencil mark. Pencil. Not even going to go into that one. Can't sign a legal contract without a pen, but we can scratch a pencil that means something so great called democracy. Then we have the election, and guess what? Right after the election, the same old parties are out spending your money, having a great life, while you're trying to figure out how to put food on the table for your children. And why you're so stressed out at home, wondering where all the money's going. Well, I'll tell you where it's going. It's going to them. I mean, most Canadians actually think we use our Bank of Canada now. You know why? Because our great media in our country informs them of nothing. Come on, turn that, I call it the stupid tube. The more you watch it, the more stupider you get. So many things that we can do to change this current system. All we need to do is unite. So I'm asking you, inform your friends, people in Alberta. You had cousins and nephews in Ontario. Send them the same message. Email every individual you got. And every family member. Demand a constitution that protects them. And guess what? Most of all, demand our freedom from this fastest system of dictators, of their arrogance and their rudeness. Thank you, Dallas Hills. Take back our province. Let's take back our country. Thank you. Another blast of the past was we tried political parties. A lot of people said, okay, we get political parties, we can beat them in their system. Well, you can't even beat them in their system. You know why? It's so rigged. It's so corrupt. I remember that during the campaigns of the real independents that were going to speak up and talk about solutions and talk about the government being corrupt and really give some good concrete solutions to change the system to protect the people. They were talking about direct democracy back then, implementing all types of different things. These people couldn't get on CBC or the mainstream media, so they control the mechanism. That's how they win. They control everything. They control the courts, they control the judges, they control the police, they control the media, and then they control the ballot box. So it's an endless game. And then you have all these controlled opposition groups that are trying to maintain the status quo. So they create up all these different parties with their own agenda. The people need a solution. It's time for the people to create a constitution, how they want to govern themselves, with accountability and protection mechanisms. So this is why it's so important to really start looking at the solution. And this is why I'm showing you a few skits from the past and showing you that protesting, rallying, all these things don't work. If you know, here's an idea. Think about it like this: protesting is like taking a grenade and pulling the pin and throwing it at the tank. What's it going to do? Nothing. Nothing. Not a thing. So that's what protesting is like. Now, if you're down there meeting great people at protests and you're talking about solutions and organizing, well, you know what you did? you've got something that's concrete. No, you did? You just jumped on top of the tank, you pulled the pin, and you dropped the grenade inside the tank. Now, you've done damage to their system. Get your constitution and start working on a solution together. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dallas Hills. I have a very important message. Have you been wondering what's happening to our province of British Columbia, let alone Canada? My personal beliefs, we are in a dictatorship. We have the illusion every 4 years to vote in a party that's supposed to represent the BC citizens. No longer go on with thinking that these politicians represent the people in their best interest. HST was a good example of how 700,000 signatures were collected and the government still does not respond to the people's wishes. Fundamental changes to the system. Now, they're pretty straightforward. The number one objective is this: installing a BC Constitution placing the people as the ultimate authority. What that means is going to define and limit the powers we grant our politicians. This is very important. It will protect us now and into the future. What does that really mean? That means any legislation the government proposes will have to go in front of the BC people, and the BC people will make the final decision. So we're removing the power from the governments and putting them back to the people, where it always should have been. We can no longer afford to allow politicians behind secret doors and secret committees on their own agenda. The Constitution that the people have been granted from the BC Constitution, power. We're going to renegotiate with Ottawa over our provincial rights that have been unlawfully invaded by the federal charter. Very important. We have to make a decision. Are we going to continue down the path of having no representation for the BC people, having a small minority of selected individuals decide the outcome, while I can't sit by and watch these men and women that sit in power, supposedly in power, but they shouldn't be in power, they should be working for us. I'm asking current system and put the power to where it belongs, to the BC people that realize now that our voice does not count in this political system. So the old system has to be changed, and the new system is putting the people into power.
Another blast from the past. So back then we looked at doing petitions, and we did, asking your government to, just to leave you alone, stop harming you. So petitions, there was, I think, 200,000 signatures gathered on one, 700,000. People sent to MLAs, MPs to smarten up and start listening to what the people's concerns were to change legislation to stop harming the people. They took them and threw them in the trash. That's about as much as they care about you. So when you're out there collecting all these petitions and you're phoning up your MLA and you're sending them emails and all this stuff like this, they're not listening. They don't care. They don't have to listen to you. They don't work for you. They work for the Crown. So if you want them to start listening to you, you need to get organized. And like I said, Constitution is a lawful way for the people to create a contract how they want to govern themselves. So I'm just giving you some hints in the past, and you can take a look at them and share them out, and do me a favor. Let's get to the solution. Thank you.
My name is Dallas Hills, and a proud member of the BC Refederation Party. I have some exciting news to talk to you about today. Our so-called owned corporate media in this country refuses to inform the BC residents about the BC Refederation Party. You ask why they don't want you to know about the BC Refed Party? Because it's going to change the system. They don't want that to change. They like having control over you, over me, and telling us what to do, dictating to us. But I've had enough, and so many other BC residents have had enough of this old system. So the BC Refed Party has concrete plans to change the system. What they're going to do is this: a constitution for British Columbia that's going to define and limit the powers we grant our politicians. Existing systems is going to allow you a voice to control what happens in your province. These are big steps, but guess what? These are the right steps to take. This is going to help our children and our grandchildren into the future. We can no longer go along with this old system. It's failed us. On and on and on. GST, HST, just some examples. NAFTA. Every politician gets elected. They say they're going to change the system to better the people. They don't. Once they're in there, they can't change nothing because the old system cannot be changed. Become informed. Take your first step at looking at something different, something new. But after you review it, I think you'll see how important the future of British Columbia and our citizens. Thank you. I'm Dallas Hills. Let's take back our province.
It's another blast in the past. So what back then we didn't have the capabilities we have now, internet like we have. We didn't have the cell phones. We didn't have the video cameras. All this stuff was expensive, or very few people had that information. So we had some video cameras back in those days. They were very expensive. But give you an example. We knew that CBC was fake news. We knew that CTV News was fake news. We knew all this stuff. So we were on the streets pounding and talking to people. And I felt in 2012, 13, there was that slow point there where we were putting lots of information out on the internet, educating people about the Bilderberg Group, the agenda, the banking fraud, the UN Agenda 21 extermination, the fake pandemic, the vaccinations coming. This was all there and right on the internet. So that was a good mechanism for us to teach and educate people, and they do their own research and they come to their own conclusions. But at the same time, I always say to people, well, if you know about vaccinations that are poisonous, you know that the chemtrails, you know all these harmful things happening, fluoride in the water, etc., move on, educate the solution. So you can talk about the problems. You talk about the problems like if you had enough of the vaccinations, well, you want your unalienable rights, get your constitution, and that's it. They can't force nothing on you. It's a protection mechanism. It's your unalienable rights. So I'm hoping you understand what that means. Now it's 2021 now, and with all the moron virus and the fake pandemic and the 55,000 doctors telling you that's fake, and you got all these people running around doing the same thing over and over and over. How about change the over and over and over and start looking at a solution? And the solution is a constitution. They can't stop it. It's lawful, and it can be done. And then people say, well, it's taking so long. Well, it's taking so long because so many are still distracted. They'll be sitting there watching useless information they already know. They'll watch a vaccination over and over and over and over and over. The same documentary over and over, but different speakers saying the same thing. Imagine if they got out there and started saying the right things. Okay, I'm done with vaccinations. I understand they're poisonous. I understand they're harming everybody. I understand the UN Agenda 21 is to harm us all. So I'm going to stop that. I know vaccinations are done. We got to get rid of them. How do we get rid of them? Well, we the people got to do it. We have to become the power. And that's the bottom line. So join a solution. Get organized. Thank you. Greetings. Thank you for coming to our site called. This is a combination of many, many concerned sovereigns in all the provinces coming together on a solution. On our website, we have the homepage. We have a brief description of what we're trying to explain to people what we're doing. For 88 years, we've had political parties, and every political party represents themselves, their agenda. It doesn't matter if you're left or right. They don't work for the people. They never have worked for the people. You can elect a representative, etc., but that representative is being lobbied by big pharma, big whatever. These corporations lobby them, they fund them, so they get their agenda done. We need someone to represent the people. How do we get to that point? So of years and years of investigation and research, our teams have come together on a conclusion. Every province has a constitution. Every province. Then they also have the Canadian Act. They say it's a constitution, but it's not. So each of the province has a constitution, But the Constitution in British Columbia, the Constitution in Saskatchewan, the Constitution in Manitoba, etc., all the territories, they do not represent the people. As soon as you elect a politician into these programs, that's it. They're not accountable to the people. So we did a lot of research, and what we're doing is we are writing a constitution for we the people. So there's a team in Alberta. So if when you go to our page on unifythepeople.ca, it says you can join the movement. You get information. The teams will email you information. Also very important is that we connect people locally. So if you're in Edmonton or Calgary or you're in Windsor, Ontario, we connect you with other people that are doing the same thing. Very, very important. We also, we make phone calls, we reach out to people, we email them to show them we support them and see where they're at, etc., etc. We also, when you go to choose your province or your territories, you just click on it and you go to Alberta. So when you go to the Alberta page, there's a link on the Alberta page where you can go there and join the Zoom room. The Zoom room runs from 10 a.m. in the morning to 10 p.m. at night. It's 7 days a week. The other Zoom rooms in British Columbia are doing the same thing as they're writing and preparing their constitution and hearing ideas, etc., etc. It's a draft of a constitution, how we the people want to be governed. It's removing them from what they think they have. We are the sovereigns. We are the true government. The government works for us, and we all know right now the government does not work for us. It works for special interest groups at our cost. So how do we change it? So all these teams are out there trying to create these political parties. You're never going to defeat them in a political party. Political parties have their own agenda. We need, we the people, to be cared for first. So in the Constitution, we set it up as a guideline that the sovereigns are they're the highest, and the government below them. At all times, they're accountable to the people. These are simple steps, and we got to get the people out of the sandbox of voting, voting, voting. You cannot vote in their system. The system has failed us for 88 years, and it will continue to fail us. Elections are just another mind-boggling mess, and they don't represent you. Whatever province that you're in, click on it. Meet other like-minded people that want to actually create the change that we need. The change is we, the people, need to have the authority to decide our future. This is what the Constitution is about. So when you're reading the Constitution, it's a collection of many, many people. The most important thing about, we have so many great patriots out there, so many concerned sovereigns in other provinces that are creating this document. This document's a contract how we want to be governed. In the contract, it also states what we feel is very important, that you may feel important. Your input also adds more valuable information. The more and more people that are aware of what and why we're doing the Constitution is how we'll succeed in finding an establishment of a government that's actually accountable to the people. So please visit unifythepeople.ca. Please email us, get on the mailing list. We'll connect you to like-minded people working on the same thing, a solution. And we need to get out there and educate more people of the solution. We, the people, can make the decisions, and our lives will improve drastically within 3 months. There'll be a future for you, your children, and your grandchildren. Right now, you have no future. You have no say. The government, supposed government regime, has no accountability to you. The Constitution is going to create accountability. That's the secret. So unifythepeople.ca. Join. Look what we're doing. If you like what we're doing, email your family and friends. The more people that understand the solution, rather than the issues, is how we'll get to solve the problem. Thank you again. My name is Dallas, and I hope you pop in and see the rest of the great sovereigns that are working hard to get this done. Look forward to working with you, your ideas, and most importantly is finally building a future that we all work together on. Thank you again. Have a nice day.